I may be able
Okay, we're recording.
Awesome.
All right, so day one, Monday. What is this, day third week of quarantine, Margaret? Fourth? Third?
I don't know. I don't know.
No.
It's a week. It's a day. One day at a time.
Tools that we have in our tool belt, but more than anything, it's about not teaching everyone 100 things that they can use one time, but it's about taking one thing they can use 100 times, right? And this morning I posted in Freedom's neighborhood. I had chatted with my brother, who's actually in New York, and his firm is actually one of the couple firms handling all the nursing staffing throughout New York, and the stress that he's going through and how he handles it. And though I love my brother, we obviously handle things very differently in different situations. And as I sat there this morning journaling early, I was reminded of where I was last year when I pulled out my journal from last year and just read where I was, where we were maybe as a country, which was obviously nowhere near here. But I in my journal, I was still going through, I was still processing or healing from a divorce. I was still processing and healing from a big business breakup. And, it brought me to the moment of how I'm handling now, right? How do we traverse these difficult times in business and life? What was interesting was life is never going to be easy for anyone. You know what I mean? There's always something.
Certainly not going to be predictable.
Certainly. And in a way, to your point, it's handling that unpredictability, right? And how do we do that? And, that's kind of why we're here teaching what we're teaching. Life will never be perfect in that perfect way we want it to be. We'll have maybe a almost perfect day, or a day we feel good, and then we can feel good and someone walk in the door and totally destroy that good in a moment's notice. But why I was doing that, last night we did s'mores at my house for fire, and we had to build a fire in it. And it got me thinking, as I was building that fire, because the fire pit had not been emptied since last fall, it got me thinking literally about how we deal with our mindset. We have this, when we build a fire, we have to dig out all the crap at the bottom of the fire pit. And, in relationships with ourselves and the growth of learning, we have to dig all that ash and all the stuff that's been accumulated there on the bottom. We have to learn how to shovel it out before we can layer new stuff on top of it. And that ash, that stuff we're shoveling out, is all those previous experiences we had that influenced us and made us think how we think and how we view things. And then it got me thinking, as I took the ash out, and then I started to build the new fire, right? So I had to basically build a new base to the fire. So I had to put some paper in there. I had to put some new kindling wood to ignite the fire. And if we look at the system that we like to teach, the 4 pillars, the learn your language, review your direction, count your wins, and the 4th one,
imagination theater.
Imagination theater. It's very similar to that. If we want to ignite the mindset, or ignite how do we become successful in goals, we really have to build that kindling firewood into the fire pit, which is learning our language of what we want to learn and where we came from and how those things were accessed into our brain. And then once we light the fire, we start uncovering all those type of things that we had. And then once the fire starts to warm, and when we're able to start putting bigger logs in there, we're able to start building our mindset. We're reviewing our direction, right? We can start understanding where we want to go and how we're going to go there. And then we just basically tend to the fire, right? We count our wins, We use imagination theater to get us to where we want to go. And in the moment, if that fire dies, or as we want to use it in a mindset experience where we get a negative thought or an experience or something happens in our day, we have these tools that we are able to apply to keep us in the right direction, knowing that we're going to be sad, knowing that we're going to be unhappy, we're going to get angry, but how to learn with those things and build that fire back up so, in essence, we're lit again.
Well, and can I just add, I love that analogy. And the reason is because what do you do with a fire? Whatever you want to do. You can cook s'mores, you can cook hot dogs, you can stay warm, you can light up a room. I mean, fires are used for a lot of different things, and these tools are used for a lot of different things. It's not a, it's whatever, you've got the foundation laid to do whatever it is that you uniquely want to do in life.
No, it is. It's one of the tools that we use is us, right? It's even as coaches, we need coaches. I mean, gosh, I have more coaches than I care to admit, but I have had a psychologist. I have a nutrition coach. I have a strength coach, even though I'm in that area or have been. I have you. Even in our non-perfect days, we still need people to help us disseminate what's going on, to make us have a clear understanding of where we're going. Even the people that we coach still have their moments, or will. Especially now. I mean, a lot of the college kids that I coach, they text me constantly, daily, trying to understand why they're feeling the way they feel. They don't even understand that just the influence of life, of the news, of, gosh, the amount of social media that's on there that is negative and apocalyptic in nature, it drives their subconscious brain. You know what I mean?
Right.
That they don't even do. I mean, my kids who are under 10 don't even understand, but they're in my bed every night and they don't even recognize it, that they're all in there, which has never happened. That to be able to shovel that ash out, so to speak, using the fire analogy is a big deal. Mm-hmm. And for those of you watching this, for you to be able to come on here and to at least start to listen, to start to have a little safety where you can come on and let us help you. This is not a paid service. This is a let's serve humanity service in the time that we need to do it. You can come on here with questions about your own kids, your own family, your own thoughts. You can make up people if you want. I mean, everyone does it.
Right.
I don't know how your experience has been with your friends, but it's really interesting to watch people who are, if we use the cliche word now, what people use as self-aware. They know what they know, but they don't know how to handle it, or they don't know how to change it because they think they can't change how they think. They can't get over that hump. And that is such a societal driven thought that you can't change your own neurology of your brain, which is untrue. What most people don't understand is the way you think is not the way you think. The way you think was given to you. And I think that was a big aha moment for me as I've gone through this neurology of understanding the psychology and how to do that. I don't know how you feel in that aspect, but when I lived a life for ages that I was super introverted and shy. And I shared with you last week that someone called me too gregarious, too extroverted, and too loud, which is, to me, like,
where'd that come from?
And I understand they meant it as constructive criticism, but at the same time, I thought it was like a big moment for me for someone to actually choose a narrative like that for me, because that has been totally a new set of standards placed upon me when that has never been that way for me. It's always been the complete opposite. I lived it positively, and I'm not saying I don't dip into those moments again, but I dip into them for energy recovery, and I honor them. But the narrative I lived was given to me by my father. That's not bad. It's just what your environment is.
It's just what it was. Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know how you looked at yours previously to where you are now. But mine's it's like a 360-degree change.
Yeah, no, mine is too. I mean, my background was in engineering, right? So I kind of lived in the left side of my brain because it was safe. It was orderly. I could control it. I mean, numbers, you can manipulate numbers all day long. It was a lot easier than working with people. And now I couldn't imagine not having the right side of my brain. I love it. I love the creativity that's there. I'm totally different person. My family notices it too.
Uh-huh.
And I'm not going back.
You're not going back. See,
I'm not going back.
You know what I think a lot of people become afraid of, and please disagree with me if you think different. But I think a lot of people, when they hear about mindset development or emotional awareness or emotional change, that they fight back and say, well, you're going to change, you can't change me, or I don't want to change. And it's not that we make you change, it's that we make you aware of what you want to be and how you want to feel and the things that you want to do, but how do you get them there, right? I think that's such a tough thing in society. If you look at all the ways that, or the industries that prey on that, right? The weight loss industry is $1 trillion industry. The fitness industry is huge, which is getting killed right now. There's so many things that people want to achieve in life. They want a better relationship. They want to be able to have a better relationship with money, their colleagues, their family, their loved ones. And it all stems from how they think. The things that block us in our brain from achieving what we want to achieve is a narrative or a story that we've told ourselves over and over again. Just like me being an introvert. I don't really know what I am anymore. Am I extrovert, introvert? I don't know.
Well, I see it as unlocking who you've always been. Uh-huh. And I think we ought to be able to navigate both worlds well, mm-hmm. The world of being alone and the world of people. And so I think I think everyone has it in them to do both well. And for whatever reason, narratives we've inherited, things that we've been taught, experiences that we've had, will shut certain aspects of who we are down. Mm-hmm. And so we end up kind of being this lopsided being. At least that was the case with me. I mean, I just kind of shut down the emoting side of my brain because it was too scary. There was just too many fears there. And but as I've dealt with them, that part of me has come back online. Mm-hmm. And it was always who I was. It just was hidden. It was just under the surface and not coming out. So going through life doing the best you can with what you've got, but you're not operating on all cylinders. Mm-hmm. So that's the goal.
Right. And with your experience with people that would be perceived as unhappy, or people who want certain things that haven't achieved them and they want them so bad, what do you think is the underlying story or narrative that most people carry with them that we need to eliminate from their thought pattern? And not mean that's a poor choice of words. Not eliminate from their thought pattern, because it'll always be there, but teach them that it's not their thoughts, that the way they think and the way they perceive themselves in certain situations is causing them to fail in a certain aspect of what they want to achieve in. Most people in my industry, it's always weight loss, right? It's always, I want to look better naked, though they won't say those words. That's the truth, right? I want to look better naked. But then if we peel back that layer, or peel the onion, so to speak, there's a deeper seated aspect to that. They think losing 20 pounds and the 20 pounds on the scale inevitably makes them happy. Right. And the truth is that's a short-term solution, a very short-term solution. Can they then can they keep the weight off? If they can't, why? I mean, the stories that we could go back and forth on in certain aspects of people, inevitably, in a way, I think may come back to the same thing, but I was wondering what you thought about that.
Well, I'm with you in that I think the issue is rooted in a deeper subconscious narrative.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the weight loss or the desire for weight loss is going to be the first thing you see on the surface.
Mm-hmm.
But as you dig deeper and you go in deeper into the mindset, it will likely lead to something beyond that, because I've never seen it not. and so I kind of see it as like a tree with a bunch of different types of fruit on it. You know, one of it might be weight loss, a desire for weight loss. For someone else, it might be, I don't know, something else, finances or whatever. But as you dig deeper into the root system of the tree, what you realize is it comes down to, you know, are you accepting yourself? Are you loving yourself? Are you, you know, how are you, what's the narrative you're saying to yourself about yourself? And why are you not able to accept yourself as you are?
Mm-hmm.
And usually it's because we've believed something to be true, a narrative, you know, like I'm not valuable, I'm not worthy. I mean, this is getting deep fast, but usually that they all go to that same core. And when you get there, you realize you are connected to every single human being on the planet with that narrative. Mm-hmm. So you may be unique in wanting weight loss from someone around you, but if you burrow in, it all stems to that same core that everyone on the planet has. So that's part of why I love doing this work, is because it will hit weight loss, mm-hmm. but it will hit so much more. Because if you can get down to this core, you will have worked on on desires for weight loss or weight gain or whatever, body image, whatever they may be. But it's also going to work on relationship issues that may be over here, or some other issue that may be over here, a relationship with a parent or something that may be over here. So it's a beautiful system and it works.
And when you've worked with people, so everyone listening to this can understand, is that an easy process for people you found for people to go through when they try to learn that and understand that, to uncover their language, to become truly self-aware of their life and how it affects them, and what we can actually help them change?
I think, first of all, if you're watching this video, then you're already wanting to go through the process. Mm-hmm. You know, let's just be honest. There should be a lot of people that won't even give this type of thing a second glance. That's fine, but that's not you. If you're watching it, then you are. Mm-hmm. So for that group of people, I've never found someone that can't do this process. One of the things that we teach is to start paying attention to how do you feel physically? What is your thought life? What are you feeling emotionally? What are your behaviors? Pay attention to those little cues in your life. And maybe for one person, they're really good at paying attention to the words they speak to themselves. For someone else, they may have physical symptoms. So maybe their doorway in to this process might be through paying attention to their physical symptoms. For someone else, it might be paying attention to how they're feeling. I know all of us, if you've ever felt triggered, it's a great opportunity to begin this process of self-awareness. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be the doorway in, if you want to use that analogy, it may be different for everyone, but I've never found someone that hasn't been able to jump in that way, mm-hmm. Or jump in through one of those ways, and then they learn the other. They learn the others, but yeah.
Things I found with when people know they want something, right? They know they need to change. There's something missing, mm-hmm. and then they say, "Well, I don't know." You know, if you're watching this, well, take a pen and paper out, and then these are the 3 questions that were asked. 3 is like, how do I, like, who am I, right? So that's really a simple question. Like, who are you? In 10 words or less, you know, what do you perceive yourself to be? projecting out to other people. You know, like I'm a coach, an entrepreneur, and I believe that I was put here to serve and help people. That's truly what I believe I'm here. I have a passion to grow considerably, and I want to leave a legacy in that, and wherever that path may take me. You know, I'm a dad, I'm an athlete, I'm a business owner, and I'm ever evolving. And those things will change. But right now, that's where we are right now. You know, in today's life, I would say, who am I? Well, I have some businesses. They're not going well right now, but no business in the world is. So we have to pivot and find a way to serve the best way we can serve. And that's why we're here. My mentor, Brian Grasso, and I know you know him, his second question to me when we were chatting about this was, what do I need right now more than anything else? And, you know, that's a question you have to ask yourself. You know, for me, it was, I needed to stop asking how and start doing the how. Because I knew the how, I just needed to stop asking myself and looking for more outside information to the how. Like we've become, because of the internet, people of ever consumption and not doing. So the beauty of what people look for, and they consume the internet and they read books and they talk to friends and they're all over the places because they're looking for like the one thing, right? But in truth, if you were in a weight loss program and you followed one of the 35 different weight loss books, and I'm sure there's more, and you just stayed with one thing, you'd probably have success. It didn't matter what it was. You'd have success. So for me, that was like a big deal. So like I've stopped consumption in a certain area and focused and laser focused on one, and especially the doing of the how. Question 3, which I thought was like the biggest thing, because no one asked me this before. It's not like what I want in 3 years or 5 years. It was, what do I want more of in my life? Right? Is it security? Is it freedom? Is it happiness? You know, is it to feel loved? You know, like that can lead you or lead us to our language, right? So what we're doing really, everyone here, is we're pulling your language out for you with these questions. And that's, I think, really important. And we'll do a video on this in a subsequent one. But one of the things I was taught is in terms of what do I want to do with my life, it has to follow this acronym called ELF, right? It has to be easy, it has to be lucrative, and lucrative, we're not talking financial, though it can be that. Lucrative being it fulfills my life, it brings something to my life. And then the F is fun, right? So no matter what we do, it should follow those 3 letters, so easy, lucrative, and fun. If it doesn't, and it's not serving me, then maybe it's not serving my language, not serving my life. And actually, there's 4 questions here. What do I want to be doing more of in my life? So for the question 3 was, what do I want more in my life? And the 4th one is, what do I want to be doing more of in my life? For me, when I started this process, I'm an extremely creative person. And because I got caught up in business and trying to do all these things, and we just chatted about this, Margaret, the other day, I lose my creativity immediately. And when you and I chatted about things that were going on in my life, it reminded me right then and there that my creativity has been blunted because I've tried to have so many things going on. So the beauty of this mess we're in is it has simplified me, and the creativity returns. It's like instant for me. I had certain things in health that I wanted to achieve for myself. Why wasn't I achieving them? If it follows the ELF acronym, why wasn't I doing it? Right? At that point I had lost. I still worked out and did exercise and ate healthy, but I lost the fun of it. The reasons why I love to do it. And the moment I could reconnect with that, everything changed for me. And spending more time with my kids. I mean, it was simple, but it's fun for me. And then so in essence, those 4 questions are what you and I have termed free nature. We've chatted a little bit about that with everyone, and those are things or words that serve us. Now, if I give you just a few questions here to think of on the opposite end, what do you want to do less of? Right? Because that's not following the ELF acronym, right? There is, for me as a business owner, like one of mine was, I loathe doing laundry. Because it sucked time away from me. I hated cleaning the bathrooms because it sucked time away from me. I hated paying the bills. So I went and hired a virtual assistant. I hired a house cleaner and I asked him to do my laundry. Oh my gosh, it was like everything off my shoulders. Those little things, just asking myself that, because that's what came top of mind. So it must have been really bothering me. Right. Question 6, or just question 2 of the opposite of the first 4. Almost like what things aren't serving you. What are you resisting? If you looked in the mirror, what are you resisting? I've written about this on my personal page. This is I feared looking at myself in the mirror. I got dressed in the dark. That's my first line. That's what came out. It was weird. The fear of being fear of being told I was stupid, and that word is terrible, but been called stupid in my life bothered me. That I was resisting that, and where did that come from? You know what I mean? So I could underline that language. This one was big. The next question is, what are you attaching to? What are the things that you perseverate on in your mind that are negative constantly? Mine were simple at the time of this because I had just broken up with my business venture, but the shame in spending money on simple things like HBO. It was the most liberating experience when I got HBO. It sounds stupid, but I was told we cannot have HBO. And so money was a paralyzing thought process in my head. And then what are the things that you are doing that aren't serving you? Okay, so the other one's almost mindfully, but what are the things you are doing that aren't serving you? For some of us, I was one, I couldn't say no to anything. And that was a very non-serving thing for me because it got me into always being too busy, which would lose my creativity, which would cause me less sleep, which would cause me angst, which would cause me impatience, and would roll down this cascading scale. And then I would not be doing any of the things I wanted to do. And then I would fall into that introvert hole and not talk to anyone because I needed to recharge. And then I have to start it all over again. So those are the questions. Do you have any questions on my questions, Margaret?
No, I don't. Those are, I think, great questions.
Would you add any?
I like to think about stuff. So off the top of my head, I can't think of anything. You're basically trying to figure out what are those things that you wanted to, the language I sometimes use with people is, I like sound. I like, what do you want it to be tuning into? What are those things that you feel are life-giving to you that you want to tune into, that you want to bring more of in? And then what are those things that you want to cancel out? So, there's noise canceling.
Right.
And then there's the actual tuning in. So I sometimes use that analogy, but it's the same principles. What are those positives that we want to bring more of into our life that take intentionality? They take practice. They take even thinking about it. I know a couple of years back, I fell into the what are you doing that isn't serving you category that I kind of view as people pleasing. Not really knowing myself very well. I found myself just going along with other people because even if they weren't strong personalities, it didn't take much to be stronger than mine. So where do you want to go to dinner? I don't know. You decide. What movie do you want to watch? I don't know. You decide. Well, what I realized is I actually did have an opinion. But two things were there. One, there was kind of that people pleasing aspect, but the other was I had an opinion, but it was so faint in the back of my mind that I really wasn't aware of it. So I remember sitting down a couple of years ago and just thinking through things I wanted to do. Or no, I hadn't even gotten to that point yet. Just thinking through things. Finally, I had the thought, I was thinking to myself, it's like, well, Margaret, what do you want to do? I think we were talking about a vacation. And what I realized, and it was kind of an aha moment for me, was I didn't know. I really didn't know. It was so hidden that I didn't even know. So I sat there. I was like, you know what? I like being warm. I grew up on the water. I love the beach, and so I realized I like the beach. I want to go to the beach. But it took me sitting there having to think about it. I was more than happy just, let's just do what we always do, which is ironically, my family tends to go to the mountains. And it was saying, no, I want to go to the beach. Something as simple as that, kind of like you with HBO. For me, it was, and it felt really good to say that. I don't know. I don't know why I'd never thought of those things before.
Really
but
we become these machines, right?
Mm-hmm.
On autopilot. And when we fear something, we end up creating this story in our head about our life. Why we do. We make excuses for ourselves on why it's okay or why it's good, or we make excuses for other people. And when we can actually say it and understand it, there has to be a point where now that it's conscious, now we have to do something about it. You can't just say it and know you have it and think it's going to disappear, right?
Right.
Everyone, that's the part of mindset that people fail to realize is this new self-awareness that you bring out, just because you know it's there. You can't say, well, I'm not going to do it anymore. It doesn't happen like that. It may happen for a day or two, okay? But when you get caught up in life and things go in and it reveals its head again, it doesn't disappear. It comes back. And by the way, when you know how to get rid of it and you are self-aware, it still comes back. It does. So it's a constant evolution. And I think when I talk to friends who know what I do, but I don't coach them in that aspect, or family members, it's really difficult sometimes to sit there and say they know that they're this way, and then they're better, because it's never the case. And the process of healing is the neurology of your brain. I think that is such a huge thing we get caught up on, and and here's the thing: when we give these questions, people get caught up in the perfect answer. There isn't one. There's just what comes to mind. Right. Because if you ask these questions later, they're going to be totally different.
Yeah.
And you should always go back to them, right?
Right.
There are so many things we want to teach that are so powerful in your development as a person, that we review them all the time ourselves. I spoke too much today, didn't I? I've been really talking a lot. That's that gregarious portion of my personality, a portion that comes out all the time now.
It's coming out. We've been stuck behind four walls. We're ready to talk.
Well, listen, Margaret, when is our next talk? Can you remind everyone, remind myself?
Well, that's a good question. We actually have, there's three for this. There's Thursday night at 6 and then Saturday at 10. But then there's been Thursday night at 6, Saturday at 10. But then there has been an ongoing group that has already met in person 4 times now, that is meeting now virtually Wednesdays at noon. So people would be welcome to jump into that, but that may be an ongoing conversation.
Okay. And I would recommend that you do, if you can, and jump into the group, because you will always need to hear the stuff over and over and over again. And we'll find ways to teach it differently every time. Just like the fire pit analogy. But please ask questions.
Yeah, and being virtual, it may be a different group anyway. So we may be, every week's different. So
Okay, so I appreciate you coming on.
it was fun.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
We'll do it again.
All right, see you later. All right, bye.
Bye.